Everybody comfortable? Coffee done? Okay. Good morning. Welcome. Vanakkam to the Arteries only event of the season. And I have the great pleasure of welcoming my good friend, V. Sriram. He doesn't need an introduction. He's one of the most popular figures here in the Chennai circuit. Uh, Author, historian, and of course, he's also, as you all know, part of the Music Academy also. So, in all those capacities, I have the great, but more than anything else, as one of my very good friends, person with whom I brainstorm, joke, and speak almost on a daily basis. Happy to welcome him.
Thank you.
And happy to welcome all of you to this very special morning. Thanks for joining us. So, without further delay, let's just plunge straight in. So this is the topic. Today's topic, as you saw in the flyer, is Nidhi Chala Sukhama, which is a takeaway from Jagaraja himself on how important is money, how important is economics, especially to our arts. And this is a topic, especially in the context of Carnatic music and the season, that has long attracted a lot of discussion, a lot of debate, a lot of concern. And interestingly enough, there are the motivation for this whole talk is that every season, when you see before the season in the newspapers, in the media, there's a lot of talk, a lot of hype about this phenomenon, this cultural event. There is debate about, and there are numbers thrown out about X number of concerts, X number of Sabas. This is the economic impact of the season, so on and so forth. And in my personal capital, this is when did I come to Chennai? 22nd year in Chennai as part of the music circuit. So I think I have I'm fairly qualified to say an opinion based on my experience of the circuit, the environment, and the ecosystem. And this is again a topic that Sriram and I talk a lot about how much money artists make. Yeah, are the Sabas worthwhile? Is this whole season really worth our time, our effort? Are these numbers valid, valuable? So sometime earlier this year, I think it was about 6 months, 7 months ago, Sriram came up with this idea of saying, why not we have a real hard look at the numbers? Let us try and dispel all the fiction. Let us try and find out the truth. And let us talk about it in the season itself. And that is how this whole thing came about. So he has actually done most of the homework and the research. I have been only a facilitator here, more so. So that is the background for this morning. Okay. So let me hand over to Sriram to take it up from here. We'll go along with some questions, clarifications, and at the end of the session, we'll throw the stage open to any of you for your comments or questions as much as we can. Okay.
So thank you, Ram. Thanks for inviting me here, and thanks for putting together this discussion, because I am aware that at the end of it, maybe it will not be a very comfortable takeaway from the end of this press talk. But I would just like to say that I felt it was necessary to at least bring it out into the open and talk about it. That is the most important thing in my view. So let me start by saying that, and I'm sure Shomita will agree with me, that all good things come from Calcutta, as we know. So, every good thing has come from Calcutta. There is no doubt about it. Yeah, me, you, so many other things. So the Durga Puja is what really set me off on this quest. So British Council, sometime in the month of March this year, they invited me to participate in a group discussion on the creative economy. And see, we are all part of the creative economy. We are not part of manufacturing. We are not part of services. We are what is called creative economy, because we create. Musicians create, dancers create, artists, painters create, actors, and so on, so many other things. You could even call me a product of the creative economy. There is no doubt about it. So the whole issue there, they gave me a dossier of Calcutta's Durga Puja as a creative economy. British Council had done a study. And I opened the thing and I was flabbergasted because Durga Puja is something that I knew all along, and I knew it was big, but it ran into millions of dollars. The whole economy of the Durga Puja. They had very painstakingly calculated the cost of the pandals, the cost of sponsorship, the idol makers, the governments. Now the government also pumps in money into the Durga Puja. It's sadly become political. It wasn't like that earlier. But so these were all the ways and means by which Durga Puja was a big event in Calcutta. So it was always a big event. It was a very big event and lot of money. And that is when I said, okay, good. So the Calcutta's Durga Puja is after all a big thing. Now similarly in my world, I mean the rest of Chennai may not agree, but in my world, the December music season is a big thing. So let me see what is the size of the economy of the December music season. What money is it bringing in? How much is being paid? What are all the expenses involved? What are the sponsorship monies that are coming in? I have just begun the research. And so, whatever I'll share with you today is very preliminary and it will be subject to corrections. At the end of 3 to 4 years, I hope that I will have enough to come out with a proper documentation of what exactly is happening, how much money is involved, and is it as big as what we talk about it to be? So that is the major question that I had. It need not necessarily be big. So you have things like the Dover Lane Music Conference. You have Tansen Music Festival. Of course, there again, Tansen, there is some amount of government sponsorship that comes in, but Dover Lane, I don't think it is. It is entirely sponsored by. Then you've got the Gandhar Music Festival in Pune. You had, I don't know if it still happens, the Harballab Festival, which used to happen in Jalandhar in the height of winter. I don't know if it still happens. So these are all festivals where essentially it is private initiative. But we don't have any records of how much money goes into it. But here we keep touting some several figures. And last year, or no, not last year, I think it was just around COVID or pre-COVID, UNESCO gave us the title of being the creative tag, a creative city. We were one of 3 cities in India. Gwalior was one, Varanasi was the other, third was Chennai. And they said that all 3 locations have done enormous amount of work in promoting music and in giving it a certain forum, making it a part of public discourse, public whatever presentation. I'm very bad at using jargon. I wish I could say public debates, discourse, and all that, but it doesn't come to me. So just presentation, concerts were happening, and the other day somebody said December music season is part of my inventory. I suddenly had a very uncomfortable view of all the unsold pumps and valves in my office. That only to forget that I'm coming here and where does this word inventory come into this? So anyway, so to go back to this whole thing, this question about the UNESCO Creative City tag. So what happened? Gwalior went to town. They plastered it all over the city. Even today, when you go to Gwalior, we were there in March. Everywhere, creative city, creative city, creative city. Varanasi also adopted it and did all kinds of. Chennai was only, how dare you call us creative city? We are not creative. So there were many. Suddenly, it became a matter of what is creative. You define. Is it being what is it called? Privileged, pampered, all peas. Then the other one, irresolute, indigent, the eyes, all eyes. So this kind of alliteration and prosody is very important in Carnatic music. So this whole matter became a subject of huge fights. Which kind of music are you talking about? Are you speaking about cinema music, theatre music, drama music, Carnatic music? And suddenly Carnatic music also didn't want it. What's all this, sir? We have been here around for so many years. Who wants UNESCO? Finally, we are the only city where that UNESCO tag has been forgotten. And guess who celebrated the Creative City tag? Corporation of Chennai celebrated. The last person you would have imagined would get involved. They had concerts in the park. They ran it for 2 or 3 years and then they gave it up. So we appear to be very uncomfortable with the fact that we are a creative city. So that is also there. So where does it take us from here? Are we really serious about the December music season? And the first question is about numbers.
Yes.
Do you have anything to add here, or
it's no? I was. That's you already answered my question. I mean, why do you think Chennai was the only one that is so reticent to proudly embrace this tag? That is the question that I think.
That's a very complicated answer to give, and I really don't want to get into it because it involves everything that is a red rag. It involves caste, it involves privilege, it involves Carnatic music, it involves bhakti, about which we are forever fighting these days. So everything that we are fighting in is over there in it. But I want to get back to this idea of how many organizations. So you take the standard statistic that is touted: 60 sabhas putting up 2,000 music and dance performances. So I began to count. I said, where are these 60 sabhas? So I must find them all. Then I counted with one hand, then I counted with the other. Then with great difficulty, I went back to the first hand again. Then by the time I came to 18, I couldn't really move beyond that. And I realized that there are around 18 or 19. So the 60 is a gross exaggeration. It is what Mr. Krishnaswamy of Narada Gana Sabha used to I was very fond of him. He was very fond of me. Great man. He used to say, in the fly-by-night operators எல்லாம் சபான்னு சொல்லாத, அவள்லாம் அந்த சீசனுக்காக ஒரு 4 நாள் வந்து என்னத்தையோ நடத்திட்டு சென்று போயிடுவாங்க. நம்ம தான் வருஷம் பூரா கர்நாடிக் மியூசிக் பரதநாட்டியத்தை வச்சுட்டு உட்காந்துட்டு இருக்கோம். அவளுக்கெல்லாம் ஒன்றும் ரோல்ஸ் அண்ட் ரெஸ்பான்சிபிலிட்டிஸ் கிடையாது. This used to be his favorite expression. So even if I included all those fly-by-nights, I could not come up with anywhere beyond 25 or 30 at most. And then I had to look at fringe events, V. Sriram conducting Heritage Walk. And so these kind of fringe events and all I had to include. Even then I was not going beyond 30. So the core is just around 22.
Absolutely.
How many performances? 2,000 music. That again, look at Kannan, old Kannan, late Kannan, what's happening.
The booklet guy.
Booklet. So you count and you count and you count, you come to 1,250. You are not coming to 2,000 under any circumstance whatsoever. So this is really the true size of the season. The second thing, Sharda will say, think positively. It's forever, I am the negative one, she is the positive one. For her, everything has to be positive. So I'll think about it positively. The big thing is, it is in Mylapore. It is not in Aminjikarai or Anna Nagar or any such thing, one of those places about which we know nothing. And the point is that it is located.
This number of 20 to 25, you're including the suburbs also, right?
Yeah, I'm including Madipakam, where they have I went and I came away with great respect for that suburb. Very well organized event, and it's a sheer private initiative. They have never heard of any support from anyone. They do it in a Kalyana Mandapam. Phenomenal. I came back, I told them, whatever support you want from my side personally, I'm always available. It just shows against all circumstances, they are fighting and they are holding on to it and they are conducting it. A decent crowd turned up at Madipakam. So me, the Mylapurian, amazed. I thought I would have to go there and write the natives appear to be friendly. So but then it was a very good place to go to. So the point is that I was I came away, as I said, with a lot of respect. So I've included all of them, and I find, okay, even if you allow for my being pessimistic, 30 is a good number for people who are doing it in a very organized fashion. 1,250, I would say, would be the correct figure. Now I come to the audiences, which is where we are. Now this is a suitable representative size of a Carnatic music audience, around 50 people. This is what it is. So I counted and I felt that if I am assuming that Narada Gana Sabha is full on an evening, Music Academy is full.
Can I hold you for a second?
Please. Yeah.
Before you got into the Sabha wise, what do you think is a ballpark of the total Carnatic music Rasika base in the city of Chennai?
Oh, that may go into lakhs for
Really?
all you know.
Really?
It may. But the point is, how many of those people really come to participate in a Sabha performance? That is really the acid test. See, here I differ markedly from Tyagaraja. I think there has to be this at the end of the day. Something kind of what now. And Kayil Kasiladhavan Kadavulanalu Kadavai Satadi. That was Vasanta Kumari in Ratakani. That's a very base way of putting it. But I wouldn't agree with that. But I'm saying that people are in it for a livelihood.
Yep.
And therefore they need to make money out of it. I mean, all this Tyagaraja is fine. It was good for him. He was probably placed in a situation where he didn't really need that kind of money on a daily basis. He could write it. But interpreting it that everybody should be a Tyagaraja is a little tough. This is where I come from. So when I look at it, audience base. So let me go back to that. I'm assuming on a night music academy is full. So 1000 to 300, 1300. Tamil Isai Sangam is full. Okay, you take another 1500. So 2800. Then you take Nardagana Sabha to be full. So another 1200 to 1300. So you are looking at how much did we say? 4000. Then you assume that on the same night, Parthasarthi Swami Sabha is full, Mailapur Fine Arts is full, then Vani Mahal is full. You are struggling to cross that 7,000 figure. It is not there. Where are these people? And
caveat there is the word full. How many of these are actually full?
Yeah, that's the whole thing. How many of them are actually full? So we all know that there are, I'm not going to give names, but there are only 3 artists who draw bursting to the seams houses in Carnatic music. Today it's a fact that we have to face. The rest of them, halls don't get full. This is something that we have to be brutally frank about. There are only 3. Out of them, one is a duo, others are single. And they are married, but they are single. They are all doing very well. I mean, those 3 or 4 are catering to full houses. So on a night that these 4 happen to perform on the same day, the crowds are all pushed in that direction. The rest of the sabhas are begging for an audience. There is really nobody. So are we really considering that we are looking at an audience strength of something that runs into a few lakhs? It doesn't. At the end of the day, the audience, and out of that ticketed lot, how many are paying? Sponsor ticket கொடுத்தாருன்னு நான் வந்திருக்கேன். எங்க மாமா இங்க மெம்பர், அவருக்கு வயசாயிடுது, அதனால ஐஎம் மாமா போய் 5 வருஷம் அடுத்து நாங்க சபாக்கு இன்ஃபார்ம் பண்ணல டிக்கெட், அதனால நாங்க இந்த மாதிரி எல்லாம்.
That other factor also, the same artist, even the artist who draws a full house crowd, would have performed in the vicinity for free in a temple or something 2-3 days ago, or maybe 2-3 days later. So what is the motivation for somebody to, even a hardcore fan of that artist, to pay and buy a ticket?
So this is the next issue. So I feel that there again there is a major challenge in terms of numbers. So it is true that Carnatic music is faced with a dwindling audience. Dance is even worse, but I'm not getting there because I have no idea about. I know it is bad because every dancer I speak to, they only lament about it. But I'm not going there. I'm restricting myself to Carnatic music. But I want to highlight this and say that this is not a very great situation to be. The numbers, would you
please, that's what we are here for.
So again, as I said, I am subject to correction here because this is very preliminary at this stage, but it will go on for some time. On the day they record the music for a film, they put up the poster. Like that I am doing. I have not yet finished with the product, but I am announcing it on day 1. So this is how it is. Uwe Swaminathan Iyer used to do it. He would announce a book even before he thought writing, so that nobody else will start writing it. So, like that, I have also. So here, the duration of the season is 45 days, I am assuming. Core season. The fringe season will go on this way, that way. Number of sabhas I am taking is 25. Performances I am taking is at 1,350. And the seats I am assuming is 13,000 seats available. Put together is a very generous figure, this 13,000. It really doesn't add up to more than 7,000 or 8,000, but I'm saying, okay, 13,000 seats. The number of tickets sold per day, this I have taken a survey across 5 of the senior sabhas. And the rest of it I have only extrapolated based on the number of people. The number of tickets sold per day across all the sabhas together is 4,500 tickets. The ticket sales at an average of 250 rupees a ticket. I'm assuming. Mahesh, what is your view? Is 250 a reasonable figure to assume? Because patron tickets are in a different category altogether, but lots of free also happen. So I'm assuming on an average that it will be around 250. Therefore, ticket sales for the entire ticket sales at ₹2.50 is 250 rupees. Me and my vision. 200. I'll come to that ₹2.50 also. 250 rupees per ticket, 11.25 lakhs in a day. Ticket sales for the entire season is 1.68 crores. This is my figure. I'm assuming across all the organizations put together. It cannot be beyond this. Then I come to sponsorships. Sponsorships are how really the season functions. And let me tell you, we are not unique in this. All classical arts across the entire world function on sponsorships. So whether it is the opera, whether it's the ballet, whether it is Tchaikovsky or Bach or Beethoven, everybody is going around with glorified bowls, and sponsors are generous, and that's how it happens. The sponsorship comes to around 12 crores or so, totally put together, all the great sabas, the little sabas, the minor sabas, everything. So total inflow is around 13 to 14 crores. This is the total inflow into a sabha. Then there are what are called miscellaneous activities. So if the ticket income and sponsorship together is around 12 and a half, can you guess how much is the canteen sales? 6 crores. So the ticket sales is not even near the canteen sale. Ticket plus sponsorship, yes, it's a good situation. But canteens by itself is able to generate. That's because Howkarpet, Park Town, all these places, they think there is a food festival going on with somebody singing some bhajan inside the hall. So we have to go. So they go there, they eat well. 5 years ago, they formed a WhatsApp group with Patappa and the Music Academy, and they were dictating the menu to him. Every day they were sending him the menu. Aaj ye vada banaiye, aaj bonda banaiye, and so on. And then poor Patappa, he never came back to us. But anyway, so that's a different story. Then we've got homestays, then you've got travel, this, that, and sundry. So, you put together another, be generous, and say that there are 5 crores of other miscellaneous. So, and then you add the 6 crores of the canteen to the 5 crores of the miscellaneous, so 11 crores. And then you have the 13 to 14 crores, 25 crores is the overall income in which all these organizations manage. So, this is my figure. And now, as far as the what is your
production lighting?
everything is born out of this. So the whatever
He's talking about the total
inflow
revenue, the
into the
inflow.
sabas. So yeah, so the sabas have to bear all those expenses out of this only. Production, lighting.
No, as in companies which do that.
Hmm.
I'm sorry, I'm asking questions of.
No problem, please do.
So it would be part of somebody earning.
Yeah, so I put that, and see, this is where I have given you this miscellaneous activity, where I have added around 5 crores. I'm saying various things put together. It can't be more than that for sure. The one chunk that I have completely left out is advertising, because I'm not yet able to get a grip on it. I don't know how much Sabas are spending, how much sponsors are giving, how many allied sponsors are coming in, like, a garment shop advertising with the December season as its focus, but not really involved in the core season, but advertising. So that I have no idea where all that what that money is. But this is what I am kind of estimating at this side. But here the production costs are. I would probably have to count it twice then. If I so once it's coming in as income into the Sabha, then it's going out also. So that's where I.
So by your estimate, a very conservative estimate of, so we are looking at a flow of 20 to 25 at most, 25 crores, which is for, I don't know, I mean, does this figure shock you? Does it, or is this something you expected? What is the general feeling?
Are we not missing things like NRA inflow, workshop, and all that? Is it are we missing because NRA is a multi.
I
But
think
how many NRIs?
Yeah, that's very.
it's a
Have you, if you see it, the peak NRI inflow was in the 1990s. After which that number is steadily declining over the years because they are getting Carnatic music there as well. And so it's no longer the numbers, and there is also a demographic shift. The NRI who was coming in the 1990s is aging rapidly, and the next generation of NRIs are not all that keen about coming and participating in the December music season. Yeah, but they can't travel anymore. So many of them are now bound to the United States. They are unable to come. I can tell you of at least 100 people whom I know who have ceased to come now because of the fact that mobility has become an issue. They are no longer traveling. So that is a very major challenge that we have. So that is, of course, another question that I'll come to.
very respectfully to put it. It's an overhyped figure about this NRI income, if you ask me. Every,
That's right.
But
Their
there's
tickets.
also this additional income, like an artist gets visibility during the season for other opportunities. Similarly, Sabha canteens
That world has left us and gone a long while ago. Sabha canteens today, the caterers, that old world of the marriage hall caterers, they don't think that the Sabha canteens are any place where they need their publicity to come from. Because the publicity world itself has changed. Social media has really taken on that entire role in a very big way. They don't want to really come and cater. Many of them complain about having to cater to Sabhas because they find bringing in the manpower. Some of them say that the kind of money they make in a wedding, they have to make it across 15 days catering in a sabha with all the pulls and pressures and pains that is there of catering. So this again is a very major question that we have. Another thing is artist publicity up to the 1980s, 1990s, that was a very valid argument. The season was providing a showcase for the artists to perform, but today artists have moved on. They have begun to put their performances on YouTube, on social media. They've begun to market themselves over there. So where does this December season then have its raison d'etre, to put it, where does it exist? I mean, why does it need to exist, or what is it trying to do? So this is a question that I think is something that we could introspect.
My takeaway from this is these are very sobering numbers and totally at odds with the hype that we kind of think about it when we see the papers. When we say, oh, marketing season, so many performances, so many numbers, names. I think the December 1st supplement is a very misleading piece of documentation.
Considering that I write for it, I will keep quiet.
Can you speak up a little bit?
Any art and entertainment is part of the entire industry. And if you see the entire industry has shifted from being only commercial, OTTs are coming, and there is a demarcation of commercially pulling artists versus content oriented artists, and that is the shift across. It's not just in Karnataka. Are we failing to adapt?
We are failing to adapt, A. B, we are failing to pay for the performances that we are getting.
I think that is where we are taking the
Carnatic
discussion.
music is becoming a freebie, like everything else in Tamil Nadu. And this is, I think, a very major challenge. Post-COVID, the audience has become an increasingly indisciplined lot. They appear to think that they need to get every performance delivered on their doorsteps with a YouTube link. So, no, please.
It's happening right here.
The point is, the aged, the people with mobility issues, challenges, yes, they do need links to get, but they should be willing to pay even for that. That is my whole thing.
So that is the case for cinema theaters too, right?
Yeah, but cinema OTT, you're not getting it for free. Where are you getting it for free? Somebody is paying somebody somewhere, and then you're paying your subscription and you're getting it. Nothing happens like that in Carnatic music. The moment an artist like, say, Ashwath or Bharat or somebody puts up saying that there is this performance happening, the first comment, send link. Who is paying for that link? That is my whole question. Who is paying for that YouTube recording? Who is paying the cameraman? Who is paying the lights? Who is doing all that? Who is ensuring that it is available? And then, break cuts in So how? Why? How do you expect it to be perfect when it is free? This is the first challenge, I think, in my opinion, this demanding the service for free. I think that has to go out of the window. People have to realize that this is a serious art. There is a lot of investment that is going into it by way of the artist's time, the artist's motivation, and the artist's expectations. Artist may be Tyagaraja, but there is a wife or a husband who is expecting that artist to pull in the money so that there is some standard of living in the family. So you can't expect them to be free. This is very time-tested and outmoded concept we have had in Carnatic music. That if the artist is to be recognized as good, he or she has to be poor. Our cycle la vandindirundha bodu our paatu romba nalla irundhu. Ipo car la vara commercial la poitta. What is this?
Can we have the questions at the end, please? We need.
Related to this. So we are always looking at the traditional form of generating revenue, like ticket revenue, sponsorship. So do you think that an alternate like revenue generation method,
Like what?
like if we are YouTube, when you are posting continuously, when the members of the Sabas are posting continuously in their Sabas YouTube channel, you will generate a regular income all along the day, not just for 1 2 days.
So monetization has to become a serious motive, right? The agreements don't allow for that at this point in time. Artists get paid for their performance, then what the Sabha does with that recording, whether the Sabha is making money or not. So there are some like the Music Academy which have taken a very clear stance that we will not put it up on any public channel because copyright issues are open to question. Until and unless we have sorted it. One example doesn't make for an entire seasonal change. So it's very small. So he is one artist who's doing it. But only if 3 or 4 do it and it becomes successful will we know that it is successful. And his figures are not available in the public domain, so we don't know whether how successful it is, what is happening. Yes, it is a very bold initiative, in my opinion, to bypass the entire system of the middleman and to go directly to the audience.
But it doesn't work for everybody.
Yeah.
It doesn't work for it depends on name recognition. It depends on very specific set of factors. And the bare truth here is, from my experience, I mean, I've tried publishing albums, CDs, cassettes. Then we moved to streaming. We moved to digital platforms. We tried the subscription model, a lot of things, and probably Mahesh also here will agree with me. But none of this has a real hard number subscriber base of paying subscribers to make this worthwhile on a consistent basis across the platform for all artists. It works for individuals, like he said. Maybe the top 1, top 2, or top 3 may be able to do that, but that's not the truth for everybody. I have a request. Can you all? I mean, I know you have a lot of questions, and this is going to throw up a lot of discussion. Just note your points. We'll throw the field open at the end of the session so that we can have some honest conversation about this. Just to pull you back a little bit, is you also think the location centricity, this Mylapore, Mambalam, how does that play into this?
See, location centricity is because of the fan following. The fan base only exists in these areas. It doesn't seem to exist beyond that. So there again, the question is, what is the art doing in order to expand its listener base? So it's a major challenge. All classical arts have niche followings. So here again, Carnatic music appears to be suffering from the same problem that all classical arts have. So unless and until there is an effort to kind of make it more available in terms of content. When I say content, I'm not talking about making it available for free. I'm talking about content that can bring in more number of people into the art form. See, my serious view in this is that Carnatic music has increasingly been shutting off people over a period of time, moving away from an open performing arena into a closed performing arena, then into a proscenium, then into the formal organization of the Sabha. So every step we seem to be cutting out people as we are moving on. So perhaps the time has come for the reverse. Seeing, how are people going to be able to see it? First of all, see it. So is it temple concerts that will have to be encouraged in greater numbers? Also, will more number of temples have to be encouraged to have Carnatic music performances, to invite the local people so that they can come and sit? Then they will listen to it for a little while initially, then after that for a little longer time. So that, in my opinion, is something about increasing the viewer base or listener base for the classical art. So I also worry about what it is even abroad. See, today the art is heavily skewed in terms of its patronage to what is happening in the United States of America. The top ranking artists get a lot of performance invites, so do the others. But that generation that was listening to Carnatic music is slowly fading away. And so the next generation that is there, are they going to be as fond of this art or not? How are we as organizations, as artists, as organizers going to get them also to understand that, okay, even if they don't appreciate it, can we at least get them to understand that they have a duty to carry forward a heritage? So at least that much, that it needs that kind of support, and that it needs, otherwise, how do you get the youngsters to come and become performers? So I keep drawing this parallel with the world of Tamil theatre. So in the 1950s, Tamil.
Sriram, if I can interrupt you for a minute. We spoke about inflows, and we came to a kind of 20 Before you go into that theatre tickets and all that, how about a little bit of insight into the other side, the expenditure, what constitutes an organization's biggest expenditure, and so that we can get a fair idea of how worthwhile this whole thing is. I'll bring you back to that theatre thing.
No problem. So you look at organizations, the big ones have their own places. So that becomes a very great benefit that works to their advantage because it generates revenue right through the year. So I take the Music Academy, I take the Tamil Isai Sangam, Narada Gana Sabha, Vani Mahal,
RR Sabha.
RR Sabha, yes, also. But RR Sabha has, as you know, been involved in its own set of issues due to other reasons. So, but I'm just, all of them have their own properties. So, which done in the 1950, you look at it, the last Sabha to build its own premises was Naradagana Sabha in the 1980s. After that, no Sabha has been able to put up its own building or an auditorium of any kind. It's a very sobering thought. All of them have it in their annual reports that it is our ultimate ambition to put up a hall that is suitable for the performance of Carnatic music, but they have not been, they are nowhere even near it. So the question is that the propertied ones, they are put into a different category altogether. And there, of course, maintenance becomes a challenge because those buildings are also aging now. And considerably, it's like something out of P.G. Woodhouse, the stately home, which is swallowing a lot
Right
of money. Yeah.
This is an example.
The river being at the bottom of the garden in summer, and then the garden being at the bottom of the river in winter, that kind of thing. So we have those kind of challenges.
For promoting classical art form, and a building or a premises like this is honestly a white elephant. I mean, we don't. There is no money enough on a monthly basis to sustain the maintenance for a space even as small as this. So you can imagine a large hall, a large sabha, with all its expenses, power, water, staff.
But I have, see, more rather, I mean, I have not yet, as I said, this is still work in progress, so I can't say that I have really looked at those figures. But I will talk about artist remuneration here. So, if you look at Dorayappa Bhagavatar's reminiscences about music in the 1890s, he says the average Carnatic musician was paid 50 rupees for a performance. 50 rupees was a decent amount of money in the 1890s. Now, we get to know in 1910, 1920, when Saraswati Bai was coming up, that Harikatha artists were being paid 150 rupees, whereas Carnatic musicians were being paid 75 rupees. This is the Taratamyam, that is, Harikatha was bigger. Then Saraswati Bai upped the whole thing by taking the income to 450 rupees for a Harikatha artist. The novelty of a woman performer, this, that, and sundry. So, the entire thing changed. Now, we don't get figures thereafter for a longish period of time. Then we know that in the 1940s, GN began charging 1,000 rupees, GN Balasubramanian, for a performance. And apparently the news went around to Ramanuja Iyer and he was told, see, you've been around for donkeys years. You've been charging 350, why don't you also up it for 1,000? And I believe Ramanuja Iyer said, ask, but if they don't give, let's settle for 500. So, but 500 then was not bad. Even if they made around 6 performances in a month, which is a lot, 3,000 rupees you could easily get along with. But the tragedy is, till date, 1,000 rupees is sometimes spoken of as a remuneration in Carnatic.
90 years later.
Inflation has not caught up with the world at all. What are we looking at over here? Archival in Bongo, Paravalla, divine art in consider Pango. Art propagate, art propagate nobody is going to come and help me at the end of the day. So we are still looking at that figure. Then this is where I strongly differed from Shruti magazine. They made an example out of Maharajapuram Santanam and declared him to be Mahamani Vidwan and all that. He began charging 10,000 rupees for his performances in the 1980s. Poor man didn't live very long after that. He passed away. But he was a star. He realized his star value and he was demanding that kind of money, which he was getting. And we've all been in Calcutta. I still remember they would send him either part to go, other part to go. He would do this and he would say, money aithe, money aithe. Basically saying that for what you paid me, I'm done. I'm going home now. See, he realized his true value. People made fun of him. But the point is that he said that I'm in a profession, I'm a professional. And therefore I need that kind of income to keep myself going. And there was no harm in asking for it. Why is it that in this art there are no frank talks between an artist and an organizer about the remuneration? Religious or establishments, what they give, They give an apple.
Tengamudi.
And musicians organize those performances for those religious establishments. The Mathadipati will drop an apple like that, you're supposed to collect it and take it home. So I asked one of these musicians, Yenada kadachidhu, get a breakfast apple kadachiduma. Doctor varamatar because an apple a day keeps the doctor. This is the satisfaction that they got out of it. Now, why religious establishments cannot pay? They are full of money. If we go to a hospital, can we tell the doctor that, sorry sir, I have not come with any money, I don't have a credit card, you have to treat me for free? Will it happen? If we go to a hotel, even the most Giza Pita side hotel where one cup cutting tea will we get for free? Carnatic music alone we will get free. Ticket kekara, no rupa. I can't pay, I am going home. Why? This is a very, very pathetic. I think the audience has to transform itself first and come to the conclusion that it needs to pay for what it is getting. There are organizations, I'm not going into that, who as a matter of policy say that they will not sell tickets. I know one very big one here. But the point is that, and it is a midway stop for people buying vegetables in the nearby area. They come with all their bags, they sit there for 10 minutes and then they leave. No audience discipline. Of course, Carnatic music, audience discipline, you can write another story about it, or we will leave. But I'm coming back to this thing about Sanjay Sabha. I have been observing Sanjay Sabha and the way the audience behaves. The behavior of the audience is 300% better than even the music academy because they are paying for their tickets. They are coming, they are sitting, they are realizing that they are getting some absolute silence. Nobody getting up in the middle, going to the bathroom, nothing, because it has been paid. The moment it is free, it is being decried, it is being considered to be something that you can take for granted. I think that day has really gone. And I'm coming to the question of theatre remuneration.
Yes.
This is exactly how Tamil theatre collapsed. Tamil theatre in the 1950s and 60s, M.R. Radha, Manohar, they were like Broadway productions. Huge sets, music, dialogue, excellent, full-time professional actors, full-time. And there is this famous story about the police coming to watch what M.R. Radha was, saying in his dialogue. They would come and sit in the first row. Radha would tell them, "Ezhundu ponga. Ellarum vaasalla poi nillunga." They said, "Why?" He said, "Those are for ticket-paying patrons. I depend on their money. If you come and sit over there, where will I go and sell tickets? How will I survive?" And to give the police due credit, they went and stood at the back and allowed other people to come. In the 1980s, theatre completely lost this. They said, video has come, VCRs have come, cinema has come, TV has come. They didn't take it as a challenge and try to rise above it. See, what they ought to have done, they ought to have gone to corporate sponsors at that time and said, "Yes, it sucks right now, but we really have to come out of it. Please pay us for our sets. We want to keep up with what is happening in Broadway." Nothing. It was social responsibility. They made it and said, sponsors will give us enough just to cover what we are doing by way of performance. You see the sets, one wooden plywood with one curtain, and then all of them are amateurs. Not one of them is a professional actor. Everybody has got a day job. And then they come and act, and it shows in the performance. It will show in Carnatic music also if all these musicians take day jobs to sustain themselves. It's not going to be, this is a very demanding art at the same time. And therefore, the audience has to take up this responsibility. In my opinion, the answer lies with we, the people. We have to take a decision that we will pay for the concerts and the, whatever we go to witness. We have to buy tickets. We cannot expect that it should be free. We have to encourage artists to put up their performances where we pay for the performance. And they get to see that money. This, in my opinion, is exceedingly important. We cannot be lying down and using, I'm in America, how can I witness your performance in Madras? Why should you witness my performance in Madras? When I come to America, you listen to me there, I don't see you. Why should you listen to my performing over here? It's not all that important. You continue with your activity there. And then when I come there, you support me by, and I'm here again, artists tell me that audiences abroad have bigger discipline than here. There may be less sometimes turnout in terms of locations that people who come don't hesitate to pay. It's here, which is supposed to be the so-called core of the Carnatic music world, where this kind of rampant indiscipline goes on all the time.
I take your point about the our responsibility to pay as Rasikas, but also to want to focus this discussion on one important point. How do you view the absence of an industry-wide pay grade? Should the artist be fighting for it?
Yes,
And if not, why not?
that was my next recommendation. The first is audience having to pay. Secondly, I feel the artists have to come together and recognize what is their net worth. It has to start somewhere. But cinema, the stars have their own commanding rights, but the technicians all have standard rates below
Yes.
which you cannot go. There is a certain rate below which things don't happen. Now the point, the next, I'm sure the next counter that will be hurled at me is Hindustani music began demanding a lot of money, and today it is in the doghouse because there are hardly any performances. But that is where, in my opinion, market forces come into play. Artists have to try, audiences have to respond. It will adjust, and it will come to a situation where, in my opinion, both will reach a stage where there is a certain responsibility about encouraging the art and keeping it on a good monetary foundation.
Your question, your comment about technicians that brought up a thought in my mind, and that a dancer like Uma might agree here, because what I see in the dance world at least, the technicians,
The Annas.
all the accompanists, they have a certain minimum amount for which without which they won't show up or do their job,
And
and it's the
does the
responsibility of the
Sabas
main
pay you
artist
for
to.
I was
that?
about to say that. So we have to pay to the photographer. He has an amount. The singer has an amount. And the secretary has their own.
It all comes out of
But
the.
what? So we have anything to quote in the question which we don't have an answer for, because Sabas, what really is that? It's like you will wait for something.
There are organizations, right, like Abhay and all that.
Yes,
So
we've been talking about this, but there's no conclusion. That
somebody has to bell the cat, and if we don't do it, situation will force itself in such a way that it will happen one day. It may be too late by the time to take them.
But again, the sad part there is if a group of people unite and start dictating a pay grade or say the
There
artist.
are others who will cut from below.
So where do we put a stop to that?
I think it's a question of self-worth and self-assessment of what needs to be done. And today, I think artists have far more opportunities than what artists of the earlier era had in terms of directly reaching audiences. It's up to them to introspect whether they want to do it by way of going through the Sabha route. Then in that case, the situation is you try to change the way it is functioning. Otherwise, you try to see what you can do by yourself at the end of the day, and in which case, an established order begins to tumble,
Right.
but something good may come out of it at the end of it also.
And again, in that respect, what I've seen so far is, and here Bharat, Sriram, or all of you artists will agree with me that the generation previous to them, they had a supplementary market through recordings being released, cassettes, CDs, uh, devotionals. So do you think how is the death of that medium because of the influx of social media? Now you're forced to put out clips of 1 minute, 1.5 minutes and that doesn't really bring in revenue from like on the scale of what somebody of the previous generation used to pull in through an album, through a physical album. Whether that was a saleable commodity or not is the headache of a producer, like I have experienced personally. But for the artist is concerned, they were getting an X amount for recording that thing. So what do these people do today?
So there again, there are the death of many performing media has happened. For instance, today, cinema and Carnatic music have a great distance. At one point of time, they were very close to each other, and now certain artists go back. Orchestration happens so that that basis is still there for the instrumentalists. Many of them go back and they are also in cinema as orchestra people and all that. That is one side of it. The other side of it is the complete death of the recording industry.
Yes.
What about the wedding concert? That by itself was a big revenue earner at one point of time. Artists were getting serious money through wedding performances. Today, wedding concerts don't happen because we put up recorded music without paying for the copyright, and we just download something that is available and we let it play. Somebody is being hit in the stomach.
Or instead of a traditional concert, it's more like a band doing a gig.
That is acceptable in my opinion. You're paying somebody.
Yeah.
And the instrumentalists who sometimes put up these fusion bands, they are in touch with their instrument by coming and performing over there. There is nothing wrong. They are exploring a new genre. They may expand their horizon at the end of the day. All that may happen. But the worst is playing recorded music without any respect for the artist who's recording. Namagiri Peten hours of the photo. So, and the other bigger challenge is also in YouTube. The yesteryear artists who are dead are competing with the present day artists. So that is another. Today, a Subha Lakshmi or a Vasanta Kumari or a Ramanujengar or a Vishwanath Iyer or a Santanam, they are not gone. They are here. And people are, today's artists are putting up recordings, KVN Mari illa. So, என்ன பண்றது? KVN Mari illana illada. But then the thing is that you have to, you also have to encourage the youngsters to get into that mold. So those artists are, they are in fact stronger than ever. See, 30 years ago, you didn't get Ramanujengar to that extent because the recordings were in private house. Now they're all in public. And so Ramanujengar has made a huge comeback.
MDR
has made a Vrinda. She would be surprised at the number of people who are listening to her music today. So this is the whole question. So the artists, there again, they are challenged, even on the YouTube platform. So I wish I had an answer, and I really don't have that. But all I'm trying to say is, as far as the audience is concerned, the answer is loud and clear. Let's change our behavior as far as music and dance performances are concerned, and let us support to whatever extent we can. That is, let's not expect free performances as a matter of right.
Again, I think the only revenue or the steady income stream that I'm seeing from many of the artists, musicians, dancers is through teaching, and that again, I have this feeling that the golden goose is being
Definitely. And technology, especially teaching remotely, is not all that great because you miss several nuances that only a personal teaching experience will have. Speeds become an issue, talas become an issue. There are so many things. But in the event of nothing else, that is a very healthy revenue model at the end of the day. You're at least propagating the art. You're teaching it to people. People are wanting to listen to you abroad. They're keeping the art alive among children. See, all of us, when we were children, went through a phase when we didn't like Carnatic music. And then we came back to it because it drew us. So that phase these children will go through, but they would have had a solid base in it to come back in it at a later point in time. So I would still agree. I would say that teaching is a good thing, and let it continue, let it happen, let people encourage it. But just on saying that, நல்ல publicity வரும் அதனால பணம் எதிர்பார்க்காது.
Exposure.
Publicity நால பூவா வராது. So this is where I want to.
So to pivot this whole thing back to where we started, with specific reference to the Chennai season. So we spoke about, we kind of identified a number, something about an outflow. So what is your, the overall picture, what's your takeaway? And then I'll throw it open.
See, it will go on like this. It's not going to head to a sensational collapse next year or any such thing. It will continue for a long period of time. The thing is that, can we have audiences saying that I will bring one more person to the concert and I will buy a ticket for that person? So two of us will go where one person was going, and we will sit through a performance and we will listen and we appreciate. So I still feel that the bigger responsibility is on the part of the audience and not on the artist, because the artist is coming as a professional hoping to make a presence and an income out of that particular art form to which they feel that they have a natural aptitude. One. Secondly, I think artists need to look at their own self-respect and see whether they really need to be performing for free or for apples. In my opinion, the apple was really another thing that really set me going. It still sets my teeth on edge. I like the fruit, but not this. So
it's even more painful when you realize exactly where it happened, and we know where. So
now Sharda is rolling her eyes. We are not giving any further information. But the point is that so I think artists have to realize their self-worth, and they need to firmly shush people who ask them for YouTube things. I think 2 or 3 episodes of solid rudeness will do the trick, and after which people will not come back asking for it. I have done it in some instances where உங்க போயிடுச்சு வந்து all are welcome. ஆனால் ஏன் டிக்கெட் இருந்தால் வரமாட்டேலா அப்படின்னு நொறுக்க மாட்டேன். Then the person either will never come, which is no loss to me, or they will pay and come, which is some gain to whoever is.
Okay, let me go about this. I'll throw open the field, but I'll go about it one by one. Representative of the artists, I'll Savita have a say first.
Sriram, my question is, you spoke about the audience and you spoke about the artists. The reason there are
Can you speak up a little bit?
The reason there are free concerts is because there are free concerts being offered.
Yeah.
How can we stop that? How can we make every concert ticket?
When you say free concerts being offered by the organizer.
Through the year.
Okay, so
I'm not talking about necessarily the December season. That's my ticket. Through the year, there are so many free concerts. That's why it's become a habit. How can we stop that?
So let me tell you that it is not a good thing to stop all free concerts. So there has to be a healthy mix between the free and the paid. So who came up with this formula? Just to go back a little, a woman called Alamelu Jairam Iyer was the mother of this system. So when she started her Sabha in the 1930s, she said she will invite the senior artists for paid performances, ticketed. From the ticket revenue, she will pay juniors who will come and perform for free, so that audiences will listen to them and evaluate them, and slowly they will become senior people. This is the formula that we have followed ever since in the Carnatic music world. The sin, in my opinion, comes when you expect the artist to perform for free. That is wrong. So there, even if you are, see what happens, see, Academy has got afternoon free concerts, but the artists are paid, right? There is an endowment that supports that. So you have to work towards creating that so that the artist is paid for their performance. So that is really my point. You may take a call on whether you want to pay, you want to make it ticketed, or you don't want to make it ticketed. But make it attractive for the performer so that there are more and more and more people who come to it and who begin to perform. That is how the art will be vibrant and alive. If there are 25 top performers today at a certain age bracket of 30 to 35 or 40, they will soon become 50 and 55 and 60. So who is going to fill up that gap coming from below, who will have the drive and initiative to invest the same amount of time? Otherwise, you are not going to get quality. So that, in my opinion, is really the important thing. The artist should not be told that they have to expect to perform for free. And artists, in my opinion, have to stop performing for free. I am open to being stoned to death on this.
But where does that point come? Like you grow as a youngster, at initial stages nobody will pay you. You grow, and where does that stage come where you say
That depends on your own analysis of your self-worth, right? So let us look at Veena Dhanammal, for instance. Veena Dhanammal never went out and performed. She only lit a lamp in her house and performed. People came to listen to her at the end of the day. That was an artist that didn't record any music till the last 3 years of her life. Yeah. So she's enormous command and confidence over her own. It was a life of enormous privation, no money, all that. But the value of the art was never lost sight of. She would not go cheapening it for anybody's sake. And anybody who came had to come to her house, sit on the floor in front of her and listen. So that is what value is all about. Look at Brindama, for instance. What MDR, for that matter. MDR never compromised on what his basic philosophy, performing philosophy was. The audience went, it was only 40, 50 people at that time maybe, but that is, depends on the individual. And then there were institutions like Kalakshetra, etc., which were supporting people like that. The point is, you have to draw your own balance, but let's not give it for free.
One second, I'll come to you. Mahesh, do you have anything to add to this? Because I'm specifically asking you because
Mahesh
you are in a very unique spot. Like he's an organizer who has explored promoting the art through a different medium and through different ideas. So what has been do you have anything to add to this discussion?
So I came into this 10 years back, knowing very well all the situations that we just spoke about. So in that sense, for me, it was more to do with, can something be done to make it different?
And how did that turn
Before
out?
I actually started, I spent 2 years talking to the artists to know their psyche and everything. And I realized there was one missing link in the whole thing. That is, organizers are talking to the artists are talking to the organizers. Nobody is talking to the audience, right? So I thought the best thing to do is to talk to the audience more and more. And I realized that there are a lot of audience who want to pay much more than your ticket price. I've had people who have paid 25,000 for a 1,000 rupees ticket also. So the missing link I feel is not talking to the audience. No point having a call to say that okay, everybody has to come and pay. It's not going to work. But if every organizer can look at their 100 people who can pay and do anything for them, then everything will survive. So in my case, I have all the things stacked against me, right? I mean, I'm a newcomer. Sponsors, I can't go and ask them any sponsorship money is because I say I don't want to have any banners. Your logo will not be seen anywhere. Why would anybody give? So with all that, I feel that the sponsorship money and those set of 20, 25 people who pay are matching for me. And that is able to subsidize a lot of other things that we can do. To your point, year-end concerts are the one which funds the rest of the year where I give it free.
Okay.
And the most important thing I feel which is missing is transparency.
Absolutely.
Transparency and integrity, both of them, right? Transparency in the sense of if I'm able to transparently talk to the artist about certain things. I've had situations where in the beginning I didn't have money to pay. I've told the artist I don't have, but come join the party. If I make money, you can also make money. A lot of them, to my surprise, said yes. There have been situations where some of the artists have said, I won't take any money from you, but whatever money you make, I'll take from that. And surprisingly, those artists make 5 times more than the artists I paid.
Okay.
So I think it is all, I feel it is a lot more about conversations and being transparent. In a lot of cases, I feel that the artists assume that the organizers are making a lot of money. That is also wrong. They need to know that as well. I mean, I think the bottom line is if there is more transparency, there could be a lot more
Okay.
in- interesting ways of arranging the financials with the artists. Not just about payment, it can be about profit sharing, it can be about financial ticket collection sharing. I've been discussing it with a lot of other artists as well. Why can't the artist, for example, say that if I'm going to perform during December, 20 passes is mine. I will sell it at whatever rate I want, and I'll take that money. That will give them a lot more, and people will be willing to pay at least 5 times more than the ticket price for them because they are very close to the artist. They want to support them, but there is no means of doing that now. There is no means of having organizers are having ticket portals. Why can't the artists have their own? The artists can have their own and say like, okay, 20 tickets from each Sabah is mine, and I will have that. See the ticket sales of going up for that artist.
Okay.
There are a lot of innovative ways I feel where you can do this, but the important thing is transparency and more communication with our audience.
I would agree entirely with what you have said. And I would also say that the old system has come to the end of its useful life.
So, I think put this slightly differently. I think I have a point to make. I think it's great to confront the brutal reality. I think that's basically where we have started. It's fantastic. I think it's great to start there. I think one of the biggest points I want to ask one question to Matesh. When you got in 10 years back, whenever you have started, whatever you have started, I think to some extent you have been able to reimagine the whole thing and kind of recreate something. Definitely, I as a ardent follower of what we do, I feel that we have been able to significantly reimagine whatever has been happening. The question to you is what you have been able to individually do in one organization. How successful you think you have been? I think that would be a part of the question. Much more like what did you start with and today what are you like do you think that things have progressed and you are happy with what you have been able to achieve? Or what are the lessons? I think that's the first question. Much more importantly, I think the second one is it possible to take that into a much larger, can there be 100 marketations? Is there, whether it's 100 or 25 or whatever the number? I think if we are able to do those two things, I think there will be a significant positive shift
So for me, it is just a hobby. I may stop anytime and so I can talk about the industry at large. But each one has got their own 100-year-old. It's very tough to do large organizations. Certain things.
You're telling me.
There's a need to reimagine the whole thing. I think we're just stuck in.
No, behind you, Matagi.
Yeah, just wanted to, I'm not sure if this question is relevant, but
Can you speak up a little bit, please?
so this very privileged mentality that Chennai has not been, is it very specific to Chennai or do you think as compared to the
I wish I knew. I don't think I have an answer. But I have seen Bengali theatre, for instance. People buy tickets. Similarly, in Hindustani music, for instance, in Bombay or Pune, there is a discipline of buying tickets and going for the performance.
My theory on that is Chennai has an oversupply, and we are spoiled for choice, for free choice. I think the scene is healthier in Bangalore, Bombay. At least people pay for kacheris or Sabha memberships. Is what's my understanding.
In which case, my prediction is that the base for this art will soon shift. It won't remain here. Now we should be willing to put up with that also. Okay, let it be somewhere else, but it will go on.
Purushottam?
Sriram, other than music trading over one or two Sabas who have a initial performing opportunity connected to it. It's not the first performance opportunity, even at a later age. Deserving. You have a HCL series or a later, some who created one or two Sabas have. But the larger question is, nowhere created from all other states. Sir, எல்லா சபாக்கும் இன்வைட் பண்ணோம், சீரிஸ் வச்சிருக்கோம், கைட் அமைச்சிருக்கோம். ஒரு சபா இன்னும் ரிப்ளை வரல. நான் this is my 32nd year of the season. 1993 வாச சஞ்சய் முதல்ல நான் மத்திய அடிச்சே வாசேன். நான் வாசிக்கிற டைம் 1923ல 10 சபாக்காரா இருந்தான். After the கச்சேரி, that was a big thing. So they called me for more because the exposure was happening that way at that time. இப்போ they are asking this question, we are not able to answer. So what is the criteria that X gets an opportunity and other people don't get an opportunity? But we've applied with all the given credentials, scholarship, and
So the art by its very nature is a very subjective thing. There can probably never be an objective method of evaluation for an art. In Music Academy, it's a very transparent procedure because all the applications are listed. They are given blind to a set of judges who have no idea who is in which CD. Then the judges do the marking. That is how the preliminary evaluation happens, and that is how they put their first foot in the door. And then slowly they move upwards. So this system is followed, I think, in a couple of other places also. But at the end of the day, it will be a subjective evaluation. Your liking of an artist may not be the liking of another artist. But in my view, the beauty of Carnatic music, the greatness of Carnatic music is you can get your first performance because your uncle is the Sabha secretary. Your parents may fall at the feet of 100 people and get them to come for dinner and listen to you. Second performance you can't get.
How do you sustain it?
If you are bad, you have to be good. It's a natural meritocracy which weeds out the poor performers, and it's very heartless also. It is a very ruthless art, in my opinion. The way it throws out people on so many coming through the revolving door, very few make it out onto the other side. That is very much there. But it is a natural meritocracy which I wouldn't touch. I would allow it to remain the way it is, and that's how people come rising higher. Publicity, PR will take them to a certain level, but beyond that, except for one or two examples, I don't think people have survived on PR.
Question from you. Make it quick, please.
Actually, I want to ask, how do you address the catch of making it more accessible, but at the same time having it ticketed?
It is accessible. Who is preventing people from coming?
No, you said you wanted to open it to larger spaces,
Yeah.
right? You want to get a larger audience into it, and it just feels very exclusive now.
No, my point is that it is not, I would not say that it feels exclusive. That I would say that there is a lack of appreciation of what the art is because people don't understand. So I, for instance, don't subscribe to the theory that this is an art form where a small band of people have kept it to themselves and actively excluded the others. No, it doesn't work that way. In my opinion, this even in that exclusive band, there is only one person that wants to take to it because the rigor of getting into it is killing. Frankly, very few people really want. It's like becoming Hussein Bolt or something. How many of them want to really go up there? I'm good enough. I'll remain here. So that is my opinion. But the problem is that with other modes of entertainment having come in over the years, this has been shut out from various places, and that is where I feel that taking it to larger fora will become very important. There, sadly, politics, interpretations, all these things come into play, and very, very often our own people are our own enemies. It's like this creative city tag, which I started with. So the question, why do we need it? So are we worthy of it, etc., etc. So, in my opinion, the more it is heard in various places, and that is where I feel that temples, the HRNC and other such people, they need to begin to encourage it a lot more. And they need to have, see, Karpanambal Kovil, it's horrible as a location to perform. There is no doubt about it. As an artist, you have to be deaf to everything except your tambura and all the chaos in the middle. God Himself will arrive in procession, complete with band baja and things like that. So all that is there, but it does attract a huge crowd. There are at least so many small children who have come. They're all listening. They listen for a few minutes. They'll go back. They'll again check on YouTube something. They this is the same kind of music that I heard that day. So that is where I feel. And today the tragedy is you look at the rest of Tamil Nadu. There is no Carnatic music anywhere. You go to Thiruvayar, you go to Tiruvarur, all these great locations for Carnatic music, those temples don't sponsor them anymore. It's only Nagaswaram at most. Chendamedam is what everybody has today. We will suddenly quote Tamil Nadu, Tamil for everything. Suddenly we will be comfortable with Chendamedam.
Quick question. Make it quick, please. Yeah. I'll come to you, madam. I'll come to you.
My name is Prashant. We've heard how dark the picture is. Two things to find the number one is I am part of this initiative called the Saurashtra Classical Forum. Like the language Saurashtra, spoken in Madurai, in a bunch of places across the state. For us in the forum, like it will be a lifetime achievement if we get, say, a place like music academy. One Saurashtra sung in a regular concert by any of the big names. So my point is, even in this dark picture, there are people like us who want to be part of this scene. And I think that is one way to expand the audience. That 4,500 tickets that you said get sold. Maybe 4,000 get added. Because South African people who speak the language basically culturally come to it. Who speak the language come into the scene because of this one language song and then enter the larger scene. That's number one. So there's still this group that wants to be part of this in group. What do you know about it? The second thing I want to say was there had an Apple TV subscription. There's something called Carnegie Hall, where it basically let me discover Leonard Bernstein. 1970, he's talking about the different parts of the orchestra, etc. When the Music Academy has such a strong position on not entering YouTube, why can't it say make a deal with Netflix? Like any other movie these days. I mean, I'm sure you guys have thought about it, right? There is a subscriber base there. And
You probably have gotten your, he would have probably have numbers from the COVID season, right? When you went completely online.
Yeah. But anyway, you can finish.
Yeah, so we make one part of it is also not to solely rely on the audience directly, because just getting the money from the ticket is difficult, but there are so many other newer ways of getting money from the audience. Maybe things that we already subscribe to, get money from that end. Yeah, that was it.
Yeah. So the first question regarding the Saurashtra songs, see, remember we had many Saurashtra composers, and they composed in Telugu.
But they also did it, sir.
They did. The point is, as I said about the meritocracy, we can never force a composition on an artist. Ultimately, the entire selection of the bill of fare is left to the artists themselves. The academy cannot dictate. This has happened. This has been dealt with great success in the past only by one organization, and that is the Tamil Isai Sangam. And there again, the golden years of the Sangam, by 1970s, the purpose was established, and beyond that, it's only a question of continuing with what they've been doing. But at most, you can invite artists to come and learn those songs, and then get them to propagate it. That is the only way that you will be able to do it. A Sabha will have no role to play in
Competition.
Excellent point. This is exactly how lesser known composers and lesser known songs really made it to the front. You establish an endowment with an organization which organizes competitions for youngsters to learn those particular songs and then come and perform, and then a prize is given at the end of it. So gradually, that is the way the songs enter the repertoire. I'm very grateful to you for that. That is a very valid point. Secondly, regarding the Music Academy's collection, you will find that there are huge numbers of Music Academy recordings now available on YouTube, put up by various other people not remotely connected to the Music Academy. The problem is the Music Academy as a being what it is, and it has got its baggage of 97 years, and it has got a lot of established systems and procedures. We have not been able to crack the question of copyright. We are completely, I can tell you very frankly, at this point of time, we are quite clueless about the copyrights of individual artists. Savita has been working very closely with us on this whole thing. So we do know that a recording after 60 years ceases to be in copyright, and then it begins to come out. So now we are looking at 1964. So 1964 is roughly when the Academy's concert collection slowly begin, because 56 is really the first performance that we have a recording of, and that too only in patches. We don't have the whole thing. Now anything over and above that, everybody, including the tambura artist who has performed in that concert, has got a copyright claim on it. There is no way we can identify who the tambura artist was because we don't have their names with us. For some concerts, we will have the names of all the artists. Sometimes there would have been last minute changes in the bill of fare. Artists would have been ill. Somebody else would have taken his place or her place. We don't know their name. And therefore, there are all these conflicts that we need to resolve. And we cannot do it on a one-by-one basis. We need a policy decision, which we are not anywhere clear about at this point of time. But Savita, as you know, has been really spearheading our archival effort. And today, it has reached a stage where the entire collection is digitized. So next year is probably when we will take the question of copyright head on and try to see what we can do. So that is probably our challenge for the coming year.
Offline, please.
In the upcoming season, are you getting the rights from the artists? Is there a plan to say where artists who are second rights to the Academy?
The artists have a standard format agreement which says that the Academy recordings will be used for non-commercial purpose, teaching, and to be available as a model. That is the only thing that the artists.
Madam, you had a question?
As he rightly said, when the supply goes up, then the demand has to come down. So you have too many artists now, too many Sabas, and the same artists performing in different Sabas. And I have a lot of choice. I don't need to hear in the Academy, I'm hearing in my lab. That being the case, then again the ticketing also plays a role there. So now, how do you maintain or how do you balance it? So, I mean, we have a lot of choice, and then we go on the business.
True. So there are. Let me look at it in how shall I put it? Let me look at it in three ways. So there are artists who are stars in themselves, who have selling capacity, who no matter how many times they perform, they will draw full houses. So there is no worry because the tickets will anyway be sold and there will be money made. Secondly, you define a class of artists as treasure houses. I'm not saying Kalanidhi. What I mean is that people who represent a certain tradition that is fast fading out, and you need to encourage them to perform. So then you do it irrespective of whether the artist is a popular one or a non-popular one, you feature the artist. The third category is where your question really arises, the artists who are still coming up the ladder, who are buffeted by the the questions of demand and supply, pulls and pushes. That is where the organization has a role to sustain those artists till they become stars. And in my opinion, it has to have a discipline of buying tickets. It can choose to give it free, but it has to support the artist at that point. How it does it can be like the way Mahesh is talking about, creative ticket selling. But these are all, it cannot be a run-of-the-mill, one solution fits all kind of answer. That is where I'm coming from.
Do artists get performance incentives?
No. Except in one or two places. I know it has begun, but it's a mere tip it hasn't really got on.
You had something to say? You had something to say?
Yeah, from an artist's point of view,
Please.
it feels like as a generation, my generation is facing a big wall, wherein the superstars from the previous generation, during their time of comeuppance, there was no social media. I distinctly remember if I had to listen to Sanjay or Ranjini Gayatri, I had to buy their cassettes. Um, so that sort of loyal following they started garnering. Right? For us, as a generation, as is Carnatic music, from its natural habitat, it has been slightly moving, right? The natural habitat of Carnatic music would be something like a small, intimate setting, is what I would think, because it's a very minimal art form, which requires enjoying the depth of experience, right? It is typically it's two or three artists or four artists, and it's a very minimal art form, um, uh, ideally without amplification and this sort of thing. So it has been brought to big halls as is. So we have to start catering to big halls, and then there is this added pressure of live streaming and all of those things, and the audience being fractionated. Um, because of the over availability of Carnatic music, as a generation, we are really facing. There is an internal struggle between. How do I put this? There's so much I want to say. There's always this when it comes to big halls, keeping the audience in mind has to be a thing, right? And that sometimes really causes an internal struggle between what you want to present and what you present, keeping the audience in mind. So it is an internal struggle that we are all going through. I've spoken to several artists, and as a generation, it's a struggle that we are facing.
It is a very difficult struggle. I agree with you. But I only differ from you that it's not in your generation that the large hall came. The large hall has existed more than 2 generations ago.
But then there was no social media. Also.
There was no social media. There is no doubt about it. But you look at it, in those days, magazines had a huge circulation.
Right.
So a Kalki sitting in the confines of his magazine office could make or break a career. Subudu did it. There were people whom Subudu created. There were people whom Subudu destroyed also. There is no doubt about it.
Yeah.
And so today, I think you're better off because there is a large public that decides without really getting too involved or having any vested interest in making or breaking a career. So that is the positive of it, in my opinion. It's like general elections as
There is
opposed
democracy,
to
for sure.
there is democracy.
There is democracy.
That I think is a good thing.
But then,
If it's
but
with
then the,
respect to music, then that's fine.
yeah, but
Yeah,
The comments are about music. That's fine.
yeah, but the comment is not generally about music. Very often it
no,
is.
but also if something was written about you in Kalki, you have to go to listen to the concert to see whether or not it's true.
No,
But here,
no.
most of the people they just go on YouTube and listen to somebody and decide if they like their music or not.
Let me correct you.
The kind of record that is available of our music is not that subtle. It's not just on paper.
True.
It is everything. You can listen to the entire music online.
That is why I feel that this whole thing about putting it up perpetually on YouTube, I am dead against it.
But
I am dead against even recording like this because I don't like to see myself first of all on camera. I never knew that I have such an ugly face. So I always thought that I was very good looking only when I see myself in the mirror or in camera. Is our jawline like this? Is my lower jaw so crooked? All these questions arise. So I hate to see myself recorded. So the point is, there has to be a certain dividing line on what makes it over available and what makes it exclusive. I think that fine line
it's
has
already
been,
damaged. I feel like it has already been done.
yeah, but there is no end point in the sense that it can be started even now. There can be this every performance being put up in full, people having to listen. I think somewhere along the line that there has to be a action.
I also think this is a right, one second. This is a big point for a reviewer to say, get some VSU, sir, please. You wanted to say something, right? Well, as a reviewer, she was talking about the impact of reviews and criticism. I thought you raised your hand for that. Okay. Okay. But is there a compulsion? What is your compulsion when you write a review like that, or does your publication force you even if you don't go? Okay. Okay.
But there have been instances of reviewers who have misused their powers.
Yeah.
There have the very famous episode of a very well-known reviewer who wrote a review for a GNB concert that never happened and had to be terminated from his paper. And then we have also had for several decades, we had a reviewer who would attend only the first two songs and then write the entire review afterwards.
You should stop publishing this.
But he used to write the review by asking other people.
No, I have personal first-hand experience of that person you're talking about. The concert I organized at this very space. He didn't come. He called me and asked me what was sung that day. And actually a review happened, a write-up happened, based on hearsay.
Shocking.
My biggest point is in this era of quick dopamine seeking, right?
What is that?
You look at the immediacy of entertainment. It is immediacy of entertainment. We are surrounded by that. And Carnatic music is the opposite of that. So how do we still retain our audience? Because people at let's say at the average age of 45 right now, they were not people who were engaging in social media. So that quick dopamine seeking is not inbuilt in. But for a millennial, say, we grew up with social media, and that quick dopamine seeking is built in. It has got into that, exactly. So we are in a point where everybody is seeking dopamine, and Carnatic is the opposite of that. So the art is slowly changing to cater to that dopamine.
No, I feel that that is where the artist has to swim against the tide. If you feel so strongly about it, you have to change.
Right.
So, for instance, I'm only giving you my personal example, and it is not valid. But from my first heritage walk, I decided I will not do free heritage walks. From 1999, when I was an unknown nobody, and people actually called my father-in-law and said, "Edukku tourist guide mari theru theruvaa unga maapla alayara."
That is my point. But you're not wanting to cater to thousands of.
No, the point is, I remained steadfast to that, no matter how often I was attacked by people for it. I said, that's it. If you don't want it, this is the content. And I was also dead against recording by people who just put up a phone in front of me and put up snippets. I would say I make a lot of mistakes when I'm doing my heritage work. How do you want me to be judged later? I don't like it. So you have to be tough in what you do. At the end of the day, there is no reason to give in.
That means,
See, for us, it is okay.
You've reached a stage where you can do those things.
Yeah, we can say other generation people, there are Sabas which almost treat everything like this.
Yeah.
Everything.
I think that is wrong.
CCTV தான் அவங்க
ஒரு 80s 90s ஆஸ்திரேலியால பிரச்சனை இருந்துச்சு அந்த மேட்சஸ் ஆகும்போது எந்த சிட்டில மேட்ச் நடக்குதோ அங்க வந்து டெலிகாஸ்ட் இருக்காது ரைட் அதர் சிட்டிஸ் will have so அப்புறம் they have to pay இப்போ எல்லா கட்சியிலும் இந்த மாதிரி பண்றாங்க அவுட் ஸ்டேஷன்ல இருக்கவங்க மட்டும் தான் அந்த பெய்ட் லைன் கொடுத்து இந்த லைன் சும்மா இருக்க கூடாது you want to come to the line
I don't think that's a bad solution to give. And those people should pay those outstations. I think third honest.
Yeah, that's the last question, please. I'll come back to you. There's one last question from me.
What is happening is this organizer calls a particular artist. And more often than not, there is no transparency in the amount of remuneration that the artist is taking.
I don't think it's even spoken.
And it's not even spoken, it's unspoken word. And by any chance, the artist even asks a query about the remuneration, the eyebrows of the organizer immediately starts to raise. And by chance, you even try to negotiate, there is a negative word of the mouth publicity that goes when such and such artist has gone commercial. Somehow, sir, with the very little experience that I have, I believe this is a profession that is seen by that money making is seen as a very, very bad and a negative.
That's what I mentioned.
Covered that already.
And the second thing, sir, you started off by your talk saying that the Masita place in Chennai is around 1 lakh. I'm little curious to know what this figure was a few years and a few decades ago.
It may not have been markedly different in my opinion, but it's just that when the population of the city was a lot less, a percentage was a lot higher, and then the percentage keeps shrinking over a period of time. But out of that 100,000, if you ask me how many are willing to pay, then you are coming down to 2.5% or something out of that total lot. That is really the
I feel that analysis fraternity should work towards increasing this percentage. How the fraternity themselves should be set up, because I'm not a
Okay. Uh,
but I feel that's not the problem.
we are at 11:30, 90 minutes. There's one last question. We are done. Rest of the questions offline, please.
As a representative of one generation younger to Sriram Bharat and Ashok, right? So there is a huge power dynamic in Sabas in general. And let's say a youngster wants to perform there, and if I go and say live stream, then next time I'm not given that opportunity. That's one. So how do you'll have to negate it somehow, right? So you cannot say live stream. If you are live streaming, how shabby it gets is the comments are more like good morning sir. Great, I didn't see you
நீங்க உங்க
yesterday.
குர்தா நன்னா இருக்கு.
I know, and it's like a guessing game. Okay, I start by reading. Oh, is it Koluvai or is it this? So this
அதுவே பரவாயில்லமே. கொலுவையா சிந்தையமா கந்தமூல கந்தமா அந்த அளவுக்கு தெரிஞ்சு கமெண்ட் அடிக்கிறாங்க.
Is the worst thing worse. நான் ஒரு சரி கேட்க போயிருந்தேன். முன்னாடி ஒருத்தர் வந்து இப்படி போன்ல பார்த்தாங்க. Exactly. என்னதான் பார்க்கலாம்னு சொல்லிட்டு ரொம்ப நேரமா பார்த்துட்டு இருக்காரு. காது ஹெட்போன்ஸ் வச்சிருக்காரு. பார்த்தா அந்த கச்சேரி வெளிய போயிட்டு இருக்கு.
It's a disease. It's a disease.
So there is no way for a youngster there is no way for a youngster like me to go and say live streaming பண்ணக்கூடாது எங்க சரி.
You know, I'm sure none of you will like my giving you this example. A character like Sid Sriram, he didn't come through the Sabha grapevine he just came. You know, we may agree with his music, we may disagree with his music, but he brought it to a situation where Sabas began to invite him, including the Music Academy. So yeah,
But he was still singing in Sabas.
but he had his own terms. He was not
much before he came.
much before, but then it changed completely. So you have to find your own equations of how you want to do it. There is no one solution that fits all at the end of the day that will come, and it depends upon your. I don't want to give examples, but I know a couple of artists, and I'm sure Sharda knows them very well as well, who have been very tough with the Sabha system from 1983 when they were youngsters. They dictated to the Sabas when it could have made or broken their careers. I know Ram also knows both of them whom I'm talking about. I don't want to mention names. One of them told me, I have never allowed a Sabha to dictate accompanist to me from 1985 onwards. That is what, to put it very crude. Ivada mridangam, ivada violin சேர்ந்து பாடுங்கோ. அதெல்லாம் ஒத்துக்க மாட்டா அந்த
Running
character.
out of time.
Yeah.
Meena, and last question will be from Rupa.
Actually, at that point in time, maybe the number of artists were very less. So now
You should have seen the number of artists we had in 1990s, 80s.
But now it's
Flood.
like multiplied over time.
It's the same number.
So if not me, somebody else will be okay.
Why let it go? It doesn't matter. Wait for your turn to come. And today you have got the means of propagating your art without going through the Sabha network. Fight the unfairness of it all.
Okay, back to YouTube and YouTube.
Start off with it and look at how you can improve upon it and make it better. See, it requires somebody to think about it, isn't it? See, we are forever stuck in that mainstream of doing the same thing and then complaining about it. But if let's say I don't want to complain anymore, I'm breaking free from it. Think about it. Spend 2 days, 3 days, spend a year if necessary on what you want to do about it and come back. But I think that is what needs to be done, because what is going on right now is a very mediocre or a sub-mediocre situation. And I go back to those two artists whom I know today who are at the up top in various ways of their profession. They demanded and they ran. They went through their own ups and downs, severe difficulties they have been through. But at the end of it, they have swum through and they have come through. And their name will perpetuate for all time to come.
Why should they take the musician is
That is a discussion for
$1 million question.
Next year.
See, the problem is there are a lot of repetitions.
That is a discussion for another day.
Temple's position, coming to your own terms, maybe they feel many musicians won't accept money from the temple. It is
their
No,
own-
musicians accept. I have never come across, except Subalakshmi, maybe
Otherwise they
who.
won't sing next time.
No.
Nobody's forcing them to sing.
Musicians accept remuneration, and I can tell you that many of the temples pay well. The religious establishments are a different thing altogether. This apple is flung at them. But I've still not got over it. But
Okay, I really have to close this with one. No, you. Sorry, sir. You already spoke. Rupa. Last question, please.
This online platform which was there, the first online streaming that I did.
2012, 11, yeah.
We did very well. I was the only person who refused to say anything to him. Even if he came behind me and said, we will be streaming before this, before everything else. We were the first platform which said we will keep it, every single answer. And we sold about, the artist, made of local work. It's good money. Because we had most of the
Okay.
Now I think as far as the online platform is concerned, everybody is just streaming.
which is wrong. We've covered that.
And that is a problem with the Sabas.
That's right.
It's not a problem with the viewers. Or the
Viewers are not having a problem because they've got it best.
So what is it that as Sabas or as musicians and the organizers or whatever of the Sabas, I think they have to come together and create something where it says we have to do this.
And see, I can even understand artists broadcasting for free. What Sabha gets out of it, I don't understand. See, they may want it for publicity on the odd occasion. Yeah, but what Sabha gets out of it, I have no.
I can answer that because again, I don't want to name the organization, but I know that there is one or two Sabas who do the live streaming because there are overseas patrons who are donating, and he wants to satisfy that client. That I know for a fact. Okay, so we've had, I think, a very fruitful morning, a very animated morning. Fruitful or not, we'll know in due course, but very animated, very lively morning, and I should thank all of you for turning up in such large numbers. Thank you to Sriram, not only for your insights, but for the diligence and the homework you did to bring this. Because like I told you in the beginning, we've been talking about this for the last 6 to 7 months, but the topic goes much beyond that. I think ever since the time I knew him as my friend, we have been talking about this. So finally we got to present these things in public and get a response from all of you.
Hopefully in 2 to 3 years, more solid information back.
Let's hope so.
And ticket that show.
Yeah.
Get the show, and you're welcome to donate. I mean, I'll be happy to accept donation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.